Yes, welcome to Salford City as we gear up to the start of the EFL season. I'm pleased to say I'm joined by Gary Neville. And Gary, just as an owner, how excited are you for the start of that campaign?
Really excited. It's come around quickly. Obviously, it feels like the Euros was only 2 or 3 weeks ago. But I think the excitement for this season is about having fans back in stadiums again, and the fact that obviously we've missed it for most of all of last season. So no, that's the most important thing, that people who haven't been able to get into a football ground in their weekly release, they get that again, and we can get atmospheres back. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We always look forward to it, obviously at Salford, and every single club does. We've got some big games coming up: Leyton Orient Saturday, Derby in the Cup on Tuesday, so straight into it.
What's it been like through the pandemic, though, as an owner, and the responsibility, taking responsibility for the players and the football club?
Well, it's been difficult for everybody. The football last season, to be honest with you, wasn't that enjoyable without fans in the stadium, whether that be at this level or at Premier League level. We've said that many times how important fans are, and we recognised it like you wouldn't believe. And we saw that in the Euros. That Croatia semi-final on that Wednesday night at Wembley was just out of this world, just emotional in terms of having people back in the stadium again, creating that atmosphere. Last season, managing a football club during a pandemic, I don't know if it was due to the pandemic, but I had a personally terrible season here. So I had a bad season. So hopefully this season I can be a lot better owner, make better decisions, and that'll reflect upon the pitch with the players, and that they'll enjoy it a lot more, and you can go and enjoy the season. And I think they will do, because the fans back in the stadium players don't want to play without fans. It's a waste of time, really.
And do you feel you made the right decisions through the summer in terms of recruitment and getting the squad ready? Yeah,
we've got a bit to go, but we've been a lot different than we have been in the past, a lot more precise, a lot more measured, trying to really reset and change the culture of the club, which has been set by ourselves, so there's no one to blame for that. We had a very aggressive promotion strategy out of non-league, and that's sort of been halted in the last couple of seasons, but we've been a lot more, I just think, precise this summer in terms of what we've been doing. We've still got probably 2 or 3 players to bring in, but if we don't, we don't. We're happy with the players that we've got, and certainly what we won't be doing is bringing in players for the sake of it.
Is it too early to be talking about targets in terms of league position for the season then?
No, the league position, honestly, there won't be a single club owner who doesn't have aspirations to get into the playoffs or to get into automatic promotion places at the start of the season, or there shouldn't be, and we're no different. But this league has proven in the last 2 seasons to us that it's a really difficult league. It's a marathon, it goes on forever, and we've just fallen short. We've just landed outside the playoffs 2 seasons on the bounce, and that would be seen as success in terms of where we've come from 5-6 years ago. But for us, we're disappointed with it, because we got used to being in those top 2 or 3 positions, and we want to try and get back there this season. But there are other clubs in the league who are big clubs, well prepared, recruit well, organised, and it gets really difficult through those winter months.
It seems like, Gary, that you've learned a lot during your time as an owner of the football club. I mean, not even taking into account the pandemic, what's the kind of biggest surprise that maybe your career in football has not really prepared you for in an ownership role? That
you can't impact the decisions at all, really, on a match day. You just come in to watch. You're a fan like anybody else. Obviously, as a player, as a coach, you have influence within what happens, but I have no aspirations to do that. But obviously, when you're an owner and you've got a football background, your passion is the dressing room, it's the field, it's the grass, it's this, and you can't do anything about it, and you're making decisions more from a distance. We don't go and watch training, and I think that from our point of view, we last season, like I say, I've got to take the blame for it. I think in every season that we haven't gone up, I've made bad decisions, or we haven't done certain things well. Last season, to be fair, was Graham Alexander should never have left this club last season. He should never have left this club. He should have never made that decision that I made. It goes against everything really that I believe in, and that's what owning a football club does to you. It takes you to that place where you do things that you don't believe you'd ever would do, but it happens, and you've got to make sure that you don't go and do that again. We're settled now. Gary steadied the ship towards the end of the season. It was difficult for Richie coming in the mid part of the season, and I'm glad that he's now got back in at Doncaster. Gary's here now. He's got a lot of experience, got calm and influence. And I think it's just about making sure that we get everything set properly off the pitch. We've got big decisions to make in this next couple of months. Our fans are coming in tonight to meet with us, which, to be fair, we've done in the last couple of weeks a few times, and we just need to make sure we get things right from now on. We did it in the early days, and then you sort of lose your way a little bit, you get carried away, and then we bring it back to sort of, the sort of, the ideals and principles and values that we grew up loving football for.
So how did the lows and highs as an owner compare to the lows and highs as a player?
I used to get low as a player when we lost, at United. If we wouldn't go out for, if I planned to go out in the evening, we lost a game, I wouldn't be going out, and I'd be the whole club would be bad for 2 or 3 days, because it was like a crisis when we lost a football game. And it's a little bit the same here when we lose and things aren't going well. You take it personally, you get disappointed, you get frustrated. But I think you have to accept that with experience, I'm 46 years of age, I'm a young owner of a football club, that not being able to impact what happens on the pitch, not being a player anymore, you just have to understand. I know that as a pundit and a commentator, I come and work on the games at Premier League level and I see United, and I've got used to not being able to impact it 10, 11 years in. Whereas in the first few years, it was, you're still expected to be out there, and you're not out there. And as an owner, I feel all the pressure and responsibility of sort of the decisions that get made to run a football club, to make sure the fans are happy on a match day, make sure that we're affordable. We've got, I think had this first or second cheapest season ticket in the whole league. We've definitely got the cheapest match ticket, I think, in League Two. And it's important to us that we try and make it as friendly as possible on match days. We have a great atmosphere in this ground in terms of, families love coming here. Completely different to going to like an Old Trafford or an Anfield, a place like that. But we're trying to build a football club, and I've been here for 5-6 years now, and we'll continue to try and do it in the best of our ability. But we're making mistakes along the way, and I'm making mistakes along the way, and we'll get a lot of things right as well.
I'll come back to Salford in a moment. I do have to ask you about Manchester United as well, and what are your expectations for them this season, particularly with the signings of Jadon Sancho and Varane coming in as well?
I think Varane's really exciting. Sancho's exciting, but we almost inevitable that was going to happen. They've needed to fill that right wing spot. It's been a bit of a problem for the last year or two. I think demonstrating patience and getting him, to be fair, a lot more, a bit more measured. United have become a bit more measured in these last 2 or 3 years. I think Ole has brought that to the club. They're not getting players for the sake of it. Varane's exciting. I think that last season, every United fan, every commentator, pundit, analyst that watched United said they needed a partner for Harry Maguire, and they've got one. So for me now, it's got to be an improvement on last season. The Europa League final still bugs me because I think that was a moment whereby, it was a stepping stone. That it was for the players. You get that medal around your neck and that feeling of winning together and that experience, really important. We did it a few times at United where we won Carabao Cups, League Cups, FA Cups, and it just set you on your way. And that was a disappointment, that one. So I just hope they don't start the season. I hope they start the season well. Last season in the league was more than acceptable as far as I'm concerned in terms of on the journey. But this year they've got to get nearer. They've got to get close to challenging for the title, and that's going to be really tough. And
perhaps the experience of Varane will help to that end. I mean, when we spoke to Ollie the other night, and he mentioned how Sir Alex Ferguson was tracking Varane.
Yeah.
And that says everything about the kind of experience that Varane has in the game.
He's a good age, he's got massive experience, he's got a good centre-back alongside, in fact he's got a good back four. So he's not coming into a team that's sort of like, he's not having to hold it together. You'd argue the last piece of the jigsaw in the sense that the rest of them are still, doing a pretty good job. Lindelof did a good job, Bailly did a good job alongside Maguire, but they weren't that little bit extra that you need. And I think that Harry Maguire will come out of this tournament with England strong, more confident than ever before. He's got a great centre-back partner alongside him now in Varane. Varane's played at Real Madrid in the biggest games you can ever play in, World Cups, the lot. So for me, they've got two brilliant centre-backs. If they can stay fit together, and obviously the two full-backs as well, who I think have got great energy. One of them's a great defender. Well, both of them are great defenders, actually. One of them's great going forward as well, and Aaron Wan-Bissaka is definitely improving. I think just sort the goalkeeping situation out, settle that down and decide who's going to be that number one. And United are in a good position defensively, and Sancho hopefully can bring that balance that's needed in attack.
Probably the biggest transfer saga that is developing at the moment surrounds Harry Kane. I just wonder what you make of the situation and the fact that he's not reported back for pre-season training when he was meant to.
If he was meant to come back on Monday, then he should have come back. You can never advocate any player not turning up for training. Simple as that. You've got to turn up and do your job. However, and I've worked with Harry Kane. I can't think of a more professional football player that I've ever seen. I mean, he does everything right. So he must be seriously annoyed. Something has happened badly that's made him do that. Still doesn't, for me, you can't excuse it. I think you still come in, and I still think you respect your teammates. You still go and stand with them and sit in your dressing room. But I think that, to be fair now, there is a definite collision. There's a collision course already. It was coming at the end of last season, and Harry was obviously felt something was happening. And he's taking Daniel Levy on. Not many do it, not many come out of it the other side, but it'll be interesting to see which club's involved. It looks like City. City make the bid. They've obviously talked about the number. The number's not enough. Harry thinks it is enough. Daniel doesn't think it's enough. Whether they can come to a compromise together, and hopefully they can. If they can't, then it's going to be a little bit messy for a few weeks. because Harry wants to leave. There's no doubt about that. You can see that now. There for everyone to see. It was there for everyone to see a few months ago. And look, I can see why. You know, he wants to go and win those trophies. He wants to go and sort of challenge for league titles. Tottenham, are they going to do that? Probably not in this next 2 or 3 years. They haven't done for the last, 20, 30 years, barring 1 or 2. Yeah, had to turn up. But there must be a massive issue behind the scenes for him not to, because he, like I say, he's the most professional football player that I could ever imagine. He wouldn't do a thing wrong.
I mean, this isn't a situation that is new to Spurs. They've had players in this kind of situation before with big clubs chasing them. So how difficult a situation is it for the player involved as well?
It depends what's been agreed. I can only think Harry thinks that something, that there's an agreement been backed out on or in aid, that something's happened. That's the only thing that I can think, that he wouldn't do this unless there was something significantly wrong behind the scenes. It's a big call to have to make. I think Andrei Kanchelskis might have done it a little bit at United 15, 16 years ago, where I think he was being a bit awkward at the start of a pre-season 20 years ago. I can't think of any other time in my time that's happened at United where a player hasn't turned up. So it's a massive situation for the England captain to not turn up to his club. Doesn't get any bigger. But you have to turn up. You have to, you have to respect your teammates. Your teammates are in that dress. They're all there doing pre-season. So I always think that Harry's got to get back in quickly and get with those lads running around that pitch. As much as he wants to leave, as much as he thinks he might have been hard done to, as much as he's annoyed with the guy who's making the decisions, he's got to get back in with his teammates, because they're professional players as well. They look up to him. He's a massive icon at that club and in this country. And I think that he'll have to get back in very quickly.
Back to Salford. And what's the next step for the club, Gary?
Hopefully try and win a game against Leyton Orient on Saturday. No, look, we want to get promotion out of this league into League One, but then every club in this league does. We want to basically build a really good team that play good football, that we get as many people in as we can into this stadium. We built the stadium, built this club up from having 150 fans watching it 6-7 years ago to now averaging, before COVID, 3,500 people. So, a lot's been done, but we've got a long way to go, and it's a journey that will never end. There's no exit for us here. We love this club, we love doing what we're doing, and we've got to try and make sure it's a successful season. But we've got to do things better than we have done in this last 12 to 18 months, and that includes from me.